What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining me on these analysis. We're going to be checking out Bitcoin and MSTR today. So first, we're looking here at Bitcoin. You can see from the bottom of this channel, every time we've come to this region at the bottom here, we've had to move up. We'll see if this time is any different. If we do break through, of course, it's the same thing that we always talk about. If we break under, expect a retest and maybe sideways and then a little bit further down, and then I would imagine that we eventually break back into it. But I do think with enough time, this channel will probably get broken just because of the diminished returns. As you can see how aggressive the moves were, and then this one seemed to be a little bit less, and it kind of represents more of 2019. So it's either the diminishing returns are very real, or this whole piece is kind of what I was talking about before, where I was saying everything to the right of this line is just the same as this piece here, but doubled in length. Everything was doubled. So essentially we had the same move twice, and we're about to complete this move now. So we had this move here on a grander scale. That's what this whole move was kind of looking like. And that's what we talked about it a while ago. If you've been on the channel for a long time, you know that we talked about it a very, very long time ago. We had two scenarios, and it looks like the second scenario played out. The first scenario was, which I said plenty of times that I didn't think it was very likely, but that was hitting the top of the channel in November or Q4 of 2025, which, if you know, I said it wasn't very likely because, I mean, we were sitting at 120,000 halfway through the year of 2025, and to get like a 200%, 300% move is just, not realistic. So that's why I was saying I didn't really think it would happen, and that scenario 2 could play out, which we've already talked about plenty of times, which was from the bottom, top, bottom, mid, back to the bottom. And then we went bottom, top, bottom, mid, and then back to the bottom. So we literally completed that exact same move. So what I mean by 2019 being the same as this move, just doubled in length, you can see it's this piece here, the move up, and then that pullback from the midline down to the bottom of this channel. And that's exactly what we saw here this time over here. You can see that exact same thing play out, just on a grander scale. That's kind of why I believe we might be running up. And of course, it's really the same thing if we continue to respect this channel. That's the big if. If we respect this channel, then you can expect another move to the midline and potentially to the top of the channel. I don't know, that still seems a little far-fetched, especially with how big the market cap is. Think about it. Bitcoin's already sitting at 1.3 trillion. So if we go from 60, let's say 60,000 for easy numbers, to 600 million, you're talking about, that's 1,000% gain, 900% gain. So, you're talking about putting it at a market cap of close to 10 trillion. So that obviously, it's tougher to do because you need more capital flowing into Bitcoin to move it compared to when it was over here at a much smaller market cap. So please take that into consideration and understand that. That's why I think that this channel could get broken later on. Maybe it starts now. The reason I say maybe it starts now is because it seems like from the top to the bottoms, like from the peak to bottom, we normally take about 9 to 12 months, somewhere in that ballpark. Depends on where you take it from, but let's say we take it from this candle here and we move it over to this bottom, you got 12 months right there. And even if you're off a little bit, 13 months, 14 months, 11 months, you kind of get the idea. Over here, it depends if you take it from this one or this one, but we'll do it from here just for the first example. This one would be 18 to 19 months, right? But if you take it from over here, which was technically the higher peak here, then that takes you to 12 months right there. to the exact bottom from this top up here. And now, depending on where you take it, because these were all relatively close, I would only really take it from this one or this one, because this one's higher than here and this one's higher than this one. So if we go from this first candle here, let me move this out of the way. So if we go from this first candle here, then we could potentially be only in month 4. Month 6 would take us to April. If we hit 9, then you're looking at anywhere from July to October. And then if we take it from here, then we're already in month 6, and in 15 days we'd be in month 7. 9 months would take you to around May. Take it to 12 or more, then you're talking about August. If you're talking about another 15, like a total of 15, then potentially November before we start running up. So the reason I say that about breaking this channel is because obviously if we're going sideways and down, which is potentially possible, there's really not much room here. You know, if we're either going to continue bouncing and then get a move up, or if we continue sideways and down, we're falling through. We're going to fall through this upward sloping trend line, and we're going to fall through this major level of support, which we bounced off of. And that would be confluence together, because price will try pushing up and get rejected, because this is a major level from the 2021 highs and a level of support over here. And then you have this long-term trend line. That's more than likely going to push price down. If we were to get a close underneath here, try pushing back, we'd probably see some kind of rejection and a move lower, and then I think getting back into the channel, at least within the next couple of years. But as time goes on, like I said, the diminishing returns will probably fall out of the channel, and instead of trending so steep, you see how these moves, like I said, were so steep. You see how this one was a lot less steep. You see that angle up here was very steep. The drop was steep, and the push up was a little bit more gradual this time. Maybe that's what we start to see. And then as time goes, we don't even start hitting the top of the channel, and then eventually we fall out of the channel, and we start going more sideways as Bitcoin starts to stabilize. And this is just a rough drawing or estimate. I'm not saying at those prices that's going to happen, but it could be at $1 million, it could be at 500K or whatever, wherever that happens. It could happen at 300 or 250. I don't know. It's just an idea. Now, something interesting too is that you can see the major levels of support here. We fell through it. We got a 46% drop underneath that major level of support. Here we got a 48% drop. And now this looks like this is the major level here. Really, it would probably be a little bit larger, I would say, maybe like that. It's tough to tell exactly where it is because it lines up with these tops here. It's really a zone more than a line. I know I drew a line there, but it's just for easier visual. So if we take it from here and we do another 46%, that would take us much lower. You're talking about 40,000, maybe 45,000 in that ballpark. Remember, the market cap is larger, so maybe the drops are going to be a little bit smaller. Now, if you compare the drop here in 17, 18, you can see that was 83, 84%. And if you take this one here, that was about 77%. 84, 77, but then when you look at this one here, this drop, even with COVID, was 72. But if you were to, take away COVID and we say we drop to the bottom of this channel only, you're looking at 59 to, if you look at the bodies here, talking about a 53% move, which we've already achieved. You can see we're sitting at a 51.8% move. So I'm not saying the bottom's in by any means, but honestly, I would honestly hope that it just chops for another 6 to 8 months. I'm just going to continue increasing my income and flowing all that money into Bitcoin and Bitcoin related assets. So that's kind of where my head is at. Take a look here on the weekly. You can see that the week of February 2nd, we pushed all the way down to 60, and then this week kind of been a little sideways. We had a little bit of a move the other day, and we made it down to 65. So we'll see if this wick holds through. This could also just be a wick up, and then we kind of try and fill this wick over here. If we fill this wick, you can probably expect maybe 2 candles potentially, one closing here, and then the next one trying to fill it back and seeing what we do from there. If we see that, we might continue going lower. But we do have major support at around 54, 55K. If we fall underneath there, expect a move. So we have a major support here. If we fall through there, expect the next support level to be around 40,000, 41, 40,000. But this could be a great opportunity to accumulate shares as much as you can, because let's say we get another muted cycle. This last cycle, nobody was there. It was dead. It wasn't hyped up like 17 and 2021 and all that kind of stuff, right? If we just go from the peak here to the top, we still gained 84%. Obviously, it's nothing like the other ones, but an 84% move, let's say we get 75 in the next move. So peak plus 75%, if that even happens, look, that puts you at 220K. Let's say we only get a 58% move, 60% move. You're talking about 200K. And worst case, right? I'm not saying this is gonna happen, but I'm just saying, what if we only get a 44% move, 40% move? You're still sitting at around 180K. From this price right now, if you went all in, I'm not saying to do that, not financial advice or anything, but if you went all in and you just sit on your hands the entire time, 2027, 2028, 2029, that's 193% move right there. If you're buying MSTR, that's going to be way higher than that percentage gain. MSTR is going to, if we get a move like that, MSTR is going to rip to the upside tremendously. And with MSTR, the faster Bitcoin goes up, the faster that multiple in MNAV starts going crazy, which we've seen before twice already, and I expect it to happen again. We'll just check out this SMA really quick. We bounced off of the 50 SMA, which was perfect. And we've already seen that before. We bounced off of it here. We touched it right here in COVID. We fell underneath it in 2022, but 2022 is a long, slow bleed out. This one seems to be a little bit faster, which makes me think maybe it's not going to be a long year or whatever. It might be only a 9-month bear market, and we're in month 6. So maybe we have another 3 months, 2 months, something like that. I don't know. It's just pure speculation. For me, it doesn't matter. I'm going to be accumulating whether we're at 68,000, 80,000, 120K. I'm going to be accumulating until I sell. And on the weekly, pretty much the same thing with the 200. You can see the green and orange. We bounce off of it every time we come close to it. We did fall through it in 2022, but then you can see it served as resistance and then support and push price up. And now it's acting as support once again. So those are key things. And of course, global liquidity is going to continue rising and climbing. If you know anything about how the US is set up and just currencies in general, they typically are set up to continue inflating everything. So assets go up in value and the currency just dies out. So I don't think anything's going to change here. And I think liquidity is going to continue rising, and assets will continue to inflate for the rest of our lives. I don't see it ever changing. That's why you need to own assets and not save money. Of course, you need some kind of emergency savings, but don't get too crazy with savings. Have something that you can cover every kind of expense you could imagine. Everything else needs to be invested, because this is going to continue happening for the rest of our lives. Eventually, I will have to draw a new channel, but I don't think we're there yet. Like I said, I do think it's going to be less steep and we'll go more sideways, but we'll still be climbing. It'll be eventually like an S&P 500 kind of thing, still outperforming it, I think. But yeah, it'll stabilize with time. The more capital comes in, think about it. If the market cap is 15, 20 trillion, it's going to take a lot of capital to move Bitcoin. So you can expect muted returns, and then the drops are going to be less significant. So honestly, appreciate the drops while they're here, because they might not happen forever. They might not happen as aggressively forever. And we might not get those crazy moves. to the downside like we used to, which are great accumulation points for your wealth. But my other counter to that is, if this is similar to 2019, then maybe we still have explosive moves in Bitcoin, and we're just in this phase here. That could also be the other thing, where we get another move like this. We don't know. We could get something crazy like that. Now, if we had a blow off top, right? Like for instance, if we're in 2021, 2017, something like that, you get a crazy move to the top of this channel, you expect the 80-90% drop, because you topped on like a whole craze where everybody's hopping in, pretty much peak euphoria. When you top on something like that, you tend to get a larger drop. But since it was kind of like a muted, quiet move where nobody was really getting into Bitcoin, nobody was talking about it, you didn't have the random people in the street coming up to you telling you to buy Bitcoin. That really wasn't happening. Since you didn't really get that, and we topped off of like a kind of sentiment, then the drop's going to be a little less severe. That's just how it works. So yeah, if we were to get a crazy move to the top, then yeah, next cycle, the drop might be larger than the drop that we get here in 2026. These are just ideas. I want you guys using your brains, thinking of different possibilities. This is why on the channel we never say something's going to happen for sure, because we don't know. We really don't know what's going to happen. As much as we want to believe we do, we don't. And yeah, look, this bear flag is playing out pretty beautifully. So it played out already completely. And we'll see if it continues. We might get another one. Who knows? If we get another leg, you start to see us chopping, but we can't. You see that we can't really seem to get a durable break to the upside, like, you know, back to 90,000 or 85K. We're just kind of like sitting at 70, 75, something, just kind of chopping sideways. You can start measuring out this flag and start saying, hey man, we might be getting something like that coming up, which we already saw over here. Could be getting something like that, whether it's here or wherever it forms at. You could kind of get the idea of where that next move could potentially go. And here on MSTR, I think this is a great accumulation point right here. That 130 region down to about 100, even down to 80. If we can get that, I think that's a great opportunity to accumulate while we can, and then we'll just be watching Bitcoin and making our decisions based off of that. But I think we could be seeing a great opportunity to build generational wealth. That's pretty much all I have for you guys. Make sure you drop a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.